Do the domain and range using technology. So you're giving this graphing, you're supposed to use graphing technology to find the range of this function. So I'm going to type, remember this can be also be y. I'm going to type this equation in Desmos, and this particular problem I'm finding the range. So I've already typed it in and I'm finding the range. So looking at my graph, and I'm going to move it over to center it. Remember, range is bottom to top. So I'm going to again use my shade for teaching purposes. So bottom to top. So remember, on a calculator it cannot show arrows, but if I'm looking here, notice that the first thing I'm seeing is the graph here and here. And remember that this is going to go on forever and ever, so that means I'm seeing an arrow. So if the first thing I see is an arrow, I'm always 100% of the time going to choose negative infinity. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my graph, continue to look for my purple graph up until where it stops. And I can see that it stops at this point here. Range is my y value. So looking over here, I'm not sure what number that is, so let me grab it. Okay. So it is actually a 3, and it is a line, so I'm going to use a brace. So when typing that in, remember parentheses for negative infinity, and I have to type the negative symbol here before I choose infinity, comma, a 3, that's a line, so I'm going to put a brace, and I can use my arrow key over it and get rid of any extra symbols that are there. And that's what you do there. So let me see if I can find a domain one really quick. All right, so the domain, the square root of x plus 8 minus 1. So x plus 8 minus 1. Square root of x minus 8. X minus 8 is under that. Make sure I get out of that. Minus 1. Make sure I typed it right because I forget. Plus 8 minus 1. See? You guys already know I'm a grandma. That's why I can't remember. Okay. So now I've got my graph here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And I am looking. Let me go zoom out. I am looking left to right. So using my visual tool here, taking my shade, and I'm going left to right. I see this graph. It starts right here, and I use x for domain, so that's a negative 8. That would be inclusive. That's where my line starts, so that was going to be a brace. I continue following this graph till it ends, and as you see, it's going to go on forever. So the last thing I see is an arrow. I always write infinity. So I have a brace, negative 8, comma, infinity. Infinities always use parentheses. Get rid of any extra symbols. And that's all there is to it. You have to use technology to get the picture of your graph.